And we are live for episode 149 of the Crafty Boys. Congratulations, we're almost at 150. I started this because I don't know where everyone is. Locke's here, though, who's
I'm
over
here.
on the east side of the country. So it's just me and him. I'm sure the other will show up at some point. So, how's it going, Locke? How's it going, man?
Going all right. Yeah, Toronto's a little rainy right now, but other than that, it's its usual self. Between rain and hot humidity, I'll probably go with the rain. Yeah, but plugging away.
Well, there's something I wanted to talk about that I think is really pertinent to your way of being. But did you realize that the UK is rationing beer because of a CO2 shortage?
Rationing beer because of a CO2 shortage.
Grabbing a pint in London is a bit trickier these days, as a carbon dioxide shortage, of all the things in our atmosphere that we'd have a shortage of, has forced a major UK wholesaler to limit the amount of beer it sells to its customers. Booker, a division of Tesco, is limiting customers to 10 cases of beer per day and just 5 cases of cider or soft drinks. The move comes a week after Heineken warned that kegs of some beers, including Amstel, might not be available in Britain. The CO2 supply that carbonates beer is currently being rationed. It is, of course, coming into the hot summer months, and it's the worst time this can happen. And it's not likely to end soon. The UK food and beverage industry, their best hope is the CO2 shortage ending sometime in early July. But the CO2 suppliers have been infrequent in their communications. So the shortage is due, and this is why, is due to planned shutdowns of major ammonia plants, along with the maintenance shutdowns of several bioethanol plants throughout Europe, which supply the CO2 for our favorite drink. At present, Northern Europe has only 5 CO2 producers, and only 1 is operating in the UK. Beyond beer, it is impacting the meat industry, as the gas is used to stun animals before they're slaughtered. It also extends, of course, to many things like meat, packaged salads, and other things that require time to sit on the shelf. So, I don't know about you, man, but I think 10 cases of beer in a day is actually probably okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, only the English would need a rationing of a maximum of 10 cases of beer. I mean,
and 5 cases of cider and or soft drinks. So,
yeah.
Quite honestly, I've never really given it a whole lot of thought about how to carbonate beer, because when I brew stuff here, I prep the bottles and then I just seal them, and then of course that just naturally gives it the carbonated texture. So,
what does ammonia have to do with it?
That is a very good question. I was wondering that a couple hours ago when I saw this article. I guess CO2 must be a byproduct of the ammonia creation process.
Wow. Yeah.
But that's one part about making beer and at scale that I've never ever considered, about how do they actually, put the CO2 into the system, and how much do they need? I was trying to look up stats about, the average keg, of how much CO2 is in an average keg. I couldn't find a damn thing. So I don't know, maybe that's something we should consider looking into in great detail.
Yeah.
But it does not make for a I don't know. I suppose that North America's pretty bulletproof in terms of CO2 production. I don't know. It's something I would never have considered, that you couldn't carbonate beer. Now, granted, not all beer is carbonated, especially in the UK. Is that this is my assumption?
Yeah.
Is that right?
See, and that's the other thing. Is that, of all the places, I mean, flat beer is absolutely standard in England.
Now, is
Yeah,
that from the process of brewing, or is that from the fact that it's just sort of a regional sort of taste preference, or what?
a little of both, I would say. Like so. I've been thinking actually about it. English beers tend to be a little bit lower on the percentages, but they tend to be served a little warmer. They don't tend to be carbonated. For whatever reason, all of those factors together, it'll still get you pretty drunk,
Well, what is the average beer or alcohol by volume of an English beer? Like, what is the
3.5 is totally normal.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's something that basically
my theory, and I don't know if this is correct or not, but my theory is that it enters the bloodstream faster because of the temperature.
Oh, so like, I hadn't, well, because one of the things that I've always heard, now whether this is true or not, I'm not entirely sure, is if you drink warm water or even hot water, somehow our bodies are designed to actually, it absorbs it faster.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'd be kind of interested in the chemistry of that, but yeah, so I guess if water is available that way, then obviously it must be that the warmer beer would also do that. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. So I think that we should all drink warm beer, because that just somehow makes it so that I actually, are there any beers in North America that you can think of that are actually made in North America that are very close to being
Actually,
I'll say a UK beer? Yeah.
what Spinnaker's does is often pretty close.
Really? Okay.
But it'll be mostly situations like that where you got a sort of a place that's sort of brewing in house, and like hand pulled beers tend to be more likely to be non-carbonated because
right.
You're not shooting it out of a gun or whatever.
Oh, Alan, by the way, we're talking about the UK and Europe are having a CO2 shortage. So people in England are being rationed on the amount of beer they can buy at their local liquor stores.
Interesting. I did read something about that.
Mm-hmm.
Have we dived into the beer for this week yet?
We haven't, because Locke showed up like 20 minutes early. So, but everyone else, we're already live, man. We've been live for like 10 minutes.
I see that.
So welcome, Alan. And by the way, Alan, we did not have the peanut gallery doing their clapping thing earlier, so we might want to try that at some point.
Well, okay. Yeah.
But I was waiting for you to show up because so this week the beer is of course a beer from a place where very close to Locke's heart. Yes. As he used to work at their liquor store, the 4 Mile liquor store.
Yes, indeed.
And the 4 Mile Brewing, they have created a blackberry session ale.
They have.
Which is, hold on, sorry, stop talking.
Okay, there it is. There's the label.
While you're doing that, talk about it.
I really like the labels for that 4 Mile has been making lately. They're very simple, understated. It just, block letters. Maybe a little bit of a pictogram there. You can see the blackberry there. Yeah. Very little in the way of noise. Very simple. It says simply 4 Mile Brewing. We are a family-owned brewery that focuses on all things beer. We brew beer with the best ingredients and plenty of passion. Come on by the brew pub or enjoy this responsibly at home. 4 Mile Brewing Company, Victoria, BC. Not a lot of information about this particular selection. It is a session ale, so it has a bit of a lower alcohol by volume content at 4.25%, and an IBU rating of 18.
Now, the thing I'm looking forward to is exactly what does this smell like. So I've just opened mine up. I really want to know what the blackberry content is going to be like in this, and it definitely is colored like blackberries. So if you grew up in a place where there is blackberries, you'll recognize this color right away if you can see it.
Yours looks a little bit darker than mine. It could be just your lighting shade.
I think it's just the lighting, but
yeah.
Oh my!
But definitely, it has almost like a juice kind of look to it.
My first reaction is it's decent, but it's not strong enough.
No. Kind of watery, actually.
Yeah. It's definitely not. I mean, should we shake up the bottle maybe? Is there like
no.
Well, I'm just wondering if there's like a particulate that that's, I don't know. But overall, I mean, it's okay. It's not.
It's pretty good. I mean, it's not undrinkable by any stretch.
It's definitely got a watery kind of texture to it, which is not great. I think that's what's taking away from it. So maybe if they had a bit more.
I think the warning word there was session.
Yes.
Well, yeah, I know.
But I mean, and I can't remember what it's called now, but Vancouver Island Brewing a few years back it was called Black Betty is what it was called, and it was a blackberry session ale, and it was, in my opinion,
it was really
10 times better than this. I love 4 Mile Brewing, but I think they missed the mark with this one.
Yeah, I gotta say that it's underwhelming, but at the same time, it's drinkable.
I'm gonna finish it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
What are you drinking tonight, Locke? Did I ask you already? I've forgotten.
Yeah, right. So I am right now just cracking a Waterloo Dark. Now, Waterloo Dark, this has been a beer that you could get in Ontario like back in, I think, the 1990s, maybe. I don't know. Am I hallucinating that? At a bare minimum, I was drinking a few of these sort of back in the certainly the early 2000s. But yeah, Waterloo Dark. The used to come in bottles. This is a can. Not really sure if I understand the Boar's Head. Maybe the Boar's Head was around before. I can't remember if that's new or not. I think before they had the Duke of Wellington on the label. Like Battle of Waterloo.
Home of the most excellent water slides.
Waterloo. I gotta say, I'm very excited for Bill and Ted's 3.
Oh my God, is that actually happening?
It's actually happening.
Have they started filming, or filming starts in January? I can't remember.
Well, I don't know when filming starts. I don't know if it has started. If it hasn't started, it's starting very, very soon. Like, I don't think as far away as January.
I seem to recall. Yeah, I was actually looking that up. Bill and Ted. It's called Bill and Ted Face the Music. I'll put a little link to the official website. I seem to remember reading that the filming was going to start in January of 2019, because it was all the money came together in May. So, yeah. Which, by the way, June 9th is actually called Bill and Ted Day. I don't know why, to be honest. Is that the date in the film?
Could be the day that the original came out.
Oh, here we go. Why is Bill and Ted Day on June 9th? It's the date their excellent adventure actually began. Oh, right, because it was the end of school and blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
It was a Thursday when San Dimas High School let out after their final exams, and then, okay, so there we are. So June 9th is the day that they met themselves in front of the Circle K. Apparently, Nottingham, UK is the center point for all things Bill and Ted on Bill and Ted Day. So,
seems fitting.
We should all go there.
Wonder why there? Why not San Dimas?
You'd think San Dimas would have it, but I don't see anything here.
You know what? San Dimas High School football rules.
It's true. It's true. Very true.
Yep.
So, in other... Oh, sorry.
Napalm Death from Nottingham.
Sorry, what?
Napalm Death are from Nottingham.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Hey, which reminds me, did I miss your birthday this year, Locke?
I don't know. I can't remember. Didn't I talk to you around then?
I can't remember. I might have. I don't remember.
I think I talked to you then. Did you not know it was my birthday when we were talking?
No, I probably did. But here's the thing. The reason I'm asking is that I got a very strange text today out of the blue from David saying it's a special day today. And that's all he said. I'm like, oh, right, June, Dave's his birthday. So there we go. I just wanted to make sure that I had said happy birthday to you on your birthday this year.
I think so.
You didn't say happy birthday to me.
Yeah, well, screw you, February child. But anyway, didn't I? Oh, well, happy birthday, man.
Oh, thanks.
The other story that I think you should take heed with there, Alan, is the fact that the government is going to be changing the definition of what beer is. The last definition was done 30 years ago, but the industry and the product has changed so drastically that they are proposing national beer standards.
Has it changed that much, really? Isn't it just still water, barley, malt?
Well, not well. Look at the craft industry. I mean,
yeah, I know, but still,
beer, but essentially,
it has those 4 essential ingredients.
This is true.
It? Doesn't every beer have that?
Well, not every beer, but I mean, look, where all that came from is the Reinskebold, right?
From the what?
The Reinskebold. You know about the Reinskebold. The Reinskebold was the what was it? 1416 or 1516 or
too soon, man, too soon.
Being a history nerd that I am, I should have this date. I think it's 1516.
Genghis Khan was in the year 1275.
Hold on, I'm gonna confirm this.
We need to know the details.
While Locke is looking that up, so tell us more, Shane. How are they going to change? Like, how do they need to change the definition of beer?
Well, essentially, what's going to happen is a couple things. I mean, they're wrapping this together with labeling requirements, where beer will be required to have labels about every single thing in the beer itself. So anything inside the beer must be on the label of ingredients. Considering a lot of beers, they're completely different and weird and can be crazy and things like that, would not sort of stuff that wouldn't necessarily fall under the traditional beer thing.
Yeah, I was right. It was 1516.
So, okay, so Locke, tell us about exactly what you're referring to.
So the Reinskebold was a law passed in 1516. Basically, it was a law limiting the ingredients that could go into beer, and I think it was water, hops, and barley. And I think the only reason they didn't mention yeast was because they weren't actually sure what yeast was back then. Okay. They just knew that when you left stuff around, it kind of did its thing, you know. But yeah, the apparently in 1987, a case brought by French brewers to the European Court of Justice found the Reinskebot was protectionist and therefore a violation of Article 30 of the Treaty of Rome. So, yeah, it's sort of interesting. Didn't realize that. I mean, you know, that was pretty close on the heels of a lot of other sort of bizarre legislation that was arguably protectionist and falling foul of the European Union at the time. Mm-hmm. I seem to recall there was an issue with fishing. Anyway, the point being, the Reinskebot was a limitation on what ingredients could go into beer, and part of the reason they limited it to barley was because they wanted people to use wheat for bread.
Mm.
Which makes sense, considering the date.
Mm. Yeah, so anyway, so that's what it is. But yeah, in terms of a landmark of you know, identifying the nature of beer, that certainly, yeah, it certainly is up there. So yeah, so what? I mean, what do you guys think about redefining what beer is?
I would say that it's not. I'm not too concerned. I mean, here's the thing. I'm all behind anything that's been regulated by the government of any kind. You know, eventually will need to be refreshed because things do evolve and change. Like, you know, laws about copyright, laws about this, laws about that. But I think also in this day and age, we have a major problem with people being allergic to things that maybe 30, 40 years ago, people might not have been as allergic. Because I gather allergies, a lot of them are caused by just your exposure to the environment and things like that. So something if you were born 20 years before, may not have been allergic to. So
is this kind of like similar to, like, from what I'm gathering, the only thing they're doing is making companies put an ingredient list on their label, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But is this kind of one of those things that's kind of like, you know, like say the difference between ice cream and frozen dessert, where the products are similar, but you can't officially call this one ice cream because it's regulated, and you can't say ice cream if it's not ice cream, right? Is this the same kind of thing where we're going to find, like, we're going to be able to buy beer or, you know, alcoholic malt,
water,
alcoholic water or something? I mean,
you know, if you think about so, you know, some of the sort of more archaic styles, like a Groot.
Yeah.
You know, like you wouldn't necessarily call a Groot beer. It's a Groot.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to welcome Dave to the show, who is like half an hour late.
Sorry.
I don't know what it is about today, man. Alan was like 20 minutes late. You're like half an hour late. What's going on, man?
Locke
was here 20 minutes early. So.
Oh, geez. I got stuck on an emergency call. Sorry.
But there you go. So essentially, we're talking about a couple things today, Dave. But first, tell us what you think of the beer.
Well, first of all, what beer do you have?
There is the question. Yes, I, unfortunately or fortunately, because goddamn, this smells good. Tangerine Dream
from
4 Miles.
For 4 Mile, okay.
Indeed, yes, because I went to a couple places and they just didn't have the other one. So I thought, okay, at least I'll do 4 Mile. And funnily enough, it's a session. So for some strange reason, 4 Mile's done a few sessions of late. Yeah.
What's the alcohol content on yours?
Tangerine Dream. The alcohol content is 4.25.
Right, same as ours.
Want to show
What
us
are
the
the international beer units?
The international beer units are 2.0.
A little bit higher than ours.
A little bit higher than ours, yeah.
Really?
So Shane and I tried ours, Dave.
And you both had the raspberry, right?
The blackberry.
The blackberry, sorry.
So we'd like you to try your Tangerine Dream and tell us what you think.
Indeed. Well, right away, the smell, holy shit. Like I can taste it, because the smell is so awesomely strong.
Really?
It's tangerines, and there is no doubt in anybody's nose that this is tangerine. It's amazing. I love it.
And how's the flavors? Of strong flavor?
Let's have a look. It is actually. It's not sweet.
Huh.
Um,
Wow. It sounds like the tangerine one is better than the blackberry one.
well, hey, I'm not a good litmus test, Locke, as you may or may not remember. I'm kind of the non, like, okay, if we're gonna say there's a scale or anything in terms of a guy's beerness, Locke, you would be on one end and I would be on the bottom end. So
well, the reason
my experience of beers is like minimal, right? So
well, the reason he said that, Dave, was that because both Alan and I are finding the beer that we have this week as being too watery, and that there's not enough of the blackberry flavor in it. And it's like there was either too much water or it was just not enough blackberry mash or juice or whatever they used to put in. So yeah, so it's a bit underwhelming. We're not blown away by this one. It's just sort of,
which I know surprises me, given how much of a blackberry place Victoria is.
Well, yeah, exactly. You know what? It could be just missing something. I wonder if this may have been better as instead of a session ale as a sour.
Yeah, it could be.
okay.
Yeah, I think that might have worked out a bit better. Not like a really strong sour, but
Yeah.
just enough to give it a little bit of a kick.
Well, and as Shane was talking about what your guys' sense of yours was, I'm like, yeah, okay, I could see that of mine too. So my guess is that the both of you might say the same thing about this one. Because it's not I'm not even sure what the right word is for
It's not a flavor that's going to hit you in the face.
Exactly. It's quite mild. And I could see you guys describing it as a bit watery.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't mind it. I don't. I quite like the flavor. It's not, this is the thing for me, is it's not got that heavy hoppiness to it, which for me is generally a plus. I'm not, as you guys know, I'm not Mr. IPAs.
Right.
So if something is a lower hop, then I'm okay with that. And this is pretty low. I mean, I don't know what you guys are finding, but it goes down pretty easy, right? There's nothing that's really challenging the taste buds here by any means. You just kind of,
and I think for me and Shane, that could be what the issue is that
right.
I want my taste buds to be challenged because the rest of me is challenged enough as it is, and so the taste buds need to catch up.
Sure, that's fair. No, and I'm not saying it's not interesting at all.
Right.
But it is mild. So I don't know. Maybe this is how they're doing their sessions. I don't know.
Could be. Another thing, if you're gonna make a session ale, put in a 6-pack. You know,
yeah, I'm hearing
6-pack cans. Don't put them in a bomber bottle. You know what I'm getting at?
Why is that?
Well,
the point is to drink many of them. That's why they call it a session ale.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, so it's like you're hanging around with a bunch of buddies at a party or barbecue or whatever. You crack one open, you down it, and then you go grab another one.
Another one open and down it.
Yeah,
sure.
And you go through like 6 or 7. I mean,
yeah,
I
get it.
That's why the alcohol content's a bit lower on a session, so that you can survive the session.
Yeah.
I just wanted to. This is a bit of a sideways comment, but I did not know this until it just popped up on my little feed notice here of my news. That Joe Jackson died today. The father of all the Jackson siblings. So I did not know he had pancreatic cancer. So that is worth toasting. That to his family and everyone in the Jackson family who has given me and continues to give me much musical appreciation of life and things. So yeah, I'm really sorry to hear that he's passed away.
I know Locke was a big fan of the Jackson 5.
Oh yeah,
because I remember, way back when he was a teenager, had like the long hair and he wore like the heavy metal t-shirts, and he had one, it was like black with the white 3/4 sleeves, and it said Jackson 5 on it,
right?
With like, Michael Jackson's there, and he's like,
that's totally my sense of Locke. Absolutely. Yeah. Actually, I've got a question for you, Locke. Because you probably remember this as clearly as I do, perhaps.
Yeah. Shoot.
The Beasties.
Oh yeah,
When they came out, because we were all still in high school, they came out with "License to Ill," and for me, and I'm gonna make myself look bad here, but I was just getting into Zeppelin. I don't know if you're a Zeppelin guy at all, but
I like me some Zeppelin.
For me at the time, I was like, okay, these Beastie guys are a bunch of fucking posers, and they're just ripping off real artists, right? Blah blah blah. Well. But many moons later, I actually came to appreciate the Beastie Boys quite a bit more. I'm still, I can't claim to be a fan or nothing, but I would certainly enjoy some of their stuff if it came on. Not a problem at all.
That first record,
so I was just curious about.
Kerry King from fucking Slayer played on that.
What?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
You gotta be shitting me. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's awesome.
It was really the next one where they went all fucking sample crazy. That was produced by the Dust Brothers, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. That sort of fucking did my head in though. Like initially, I wasn't really sure what to make of it, but when they started doing the whole '70s disco thing, like the look and everything, and yeah,
that wasn't Paul's Boutique, was it?
That was Paul's Boutique. Yeah, that was
okay. I think I've only heard that album a couple of times, but I know it's pretty much considered a classic now, isn't it?
I think so. I mean, I consider it such. Like those first two albums that like License to Ill and Paul's Boutique. Those are the records that I listen to. After that, they put out like a ton of other records, and there's the odd single that I would sort of be like, oh yeah, I kind of like that. But it was like,
okay.
I don't think I ever really listened to any of the albums like all the way through after that.
Right.
Except for the one where they decided they were going to pick up instruments again, and they did just like instrumental, sort of laid back, sort of lounge music.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice. No, I just thought it was kind of amusing that back in the day when it was originally released, I'm like, oh my God, these guys are just bullshit. But now I actually kind of appreciate them for what they are, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate Zeppelin about 1,000 times more still, but I still appreciate Beasties for what they did. For sure.
It's funny. Sometimes we don't appreciate things for what they are at the moment.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that happens a lot because we got our expectations, eh?
Did you just say A?
Well, we are moving up on, you know, 1st of July here, so.
Very rapidly too. So that's my tribute to the day, because I think our next show will be after the day.
So I just got a tweet here from the Garrick's Head Pub. It's not to me personally, but it says, "Come celebrate Canada Day with Garrick's Head and the Churchill with Canadian beer takeover. We'll be pouring 97 different Canadian beer from 7 provinces between the 2 pubs. Garrick's Head has 52 taps. The Churchill, 45 taps."
Holy cow. Where's I've never heard of the Churchill. Where the hell is that?
I don't know. I actually haven't been
No,
to the Churchill.
it's literally just down the block. It's like 2 doors down from
Garrick's Head?
Garrick's Head, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's same side of the street.
Well, are we talking right on Douglas here or what?
No, on Government.
No, Government, yeah.
Okay.
Garrick's Head is probably like one of the best bars in Victoria, I would say.
I don't recall the last time I was there.
It's been a stalwart. Like, it's been around for a long time.
And they've expanded.
Oh, they have, yeah.
It's way bigger than it used to be. So, Shane, since you've been there, they have doubled in size.
Whoa.
And they're, like I said, the bar, 52 taps is impressive.
I really don't remember the last time I was actually there. It's been so long. I can't.
Well, next time you come to Victoria, we're going to the Garrick's Head.
Cool. Let's make that
That's
happen.
a date.
So that's 4 pubs on Government within spitting distance, right?
Yes.
Because there's also Barton Banker and Irish Times, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Holy cow.
And you know what? The Garrick's Head gets very busy on Friday night or Saturday night. I mean, there's no elbow room in there.
Well, how many people do the crawl? I mean, it's all within spitting distance. There's also Big Bad John's not very far away.
Yeah. I don't know. Look,
Wicket.
There's a pretty substantial crawl that you could do there for sure. But I don't know. My take on it is that like the people who go to the Irish Times, it's sort of a different crowd than the people that go to the Garrick's Head. You know what I mean?
What's the difference?
Well, the Irish Times, like, I think they're sort of more there for the music. And yeah, I mean, they've got good beer on taps, but the selection's a little bit more limited, and they're really are gonna charge you through the nose for it. Prices are a little more reasonable at the Garrick's Head, and they've got just a huge line of taps. Yeah. So there's always something that you haven't tried there. I would say the Irish Times, it's more of a, I mean, except for people checking out the music, most of it is people sitting down having conversations sort of faced inwards, whereas the Garrick's Head, I think, is sort of more of a mixy kind of a place.
Yeah, it is.
A little bit more sociable.
Yeah.
Really? So
there isn't a lot of seating at the Garrick's Head.
You would go to the Garrick's Head to meet the chick that you would take to a date at the Irish Times, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sure. Makes sense. Gotcha. Noted.
Listen, I'm not much of a ladies' man. Okay, I mean, I'll just put that right out there.
That chrome dome, come on, man.
Yeah, I mean,
money with the women.
You wouldn't believe it, But shocker news, guys. Women don't dig fat, bald guys.
That's right. Just put in that Collective Soul CD and suddenly everything becomes clear.
But I went to the Garrick's Head with a buddy on a Friday night and could have picked up somebody if I wanted to. It wasn't actually half bad. I mean,
yeah.
Well, or were they just looking at you going, well, it's not that bad, I guess.
Possibly. Very possible.
Just oil up his head. I guess that would work.
Get some of that spray on hair stuff.
What was that? I've forgotten where this was, but there was a skit somewhere talking about it was, oh my god, what was it? Gandhi used to oil up his head. Was that Seinfeld?
What?
I can't remember. Gandhi would oil up his head. Well, there was a character in the show that had these wild stories about different sexual encounters with famous people, and one of them was Gandhi. She said, "Well, Gandhi couldn't keep his hands off me. He was just completely just handsy all the time." And they're like, "Yeah, sure, character name and whatever the hell the show this was." And anyway, it cuts to a scene at the end of the episode where somebody walks in on his. I'm going to say some character walked in on the grandmother. And Gandhi is there, and he's oiled up, and he's like burying his head in her chest. I just cannot remember where I saw that from. I really think it was Seinfeld. I really think there was something about Gandhi showing up at some point to have intercourse with one of the characters' parents. But
admittedly, that does sound like a Seinfeld joke.
It does. It does. I originally was thinking it was probably like Monty Python or something, but I can't think of it. Although, by the way, I did watch the man who jumped over the English Channel skit the other day, which doesn't get old. So
not much of it does. Are you aware, by the way, I recently learned this, that there are, I believe it's 2 pieces of Python that have never been properly released, but they're on YouTube.
I think we talked about this a couple of maybe about 3 episodes ago. This is the 2 German ones.
Yes, I remember now. We did talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, this one in particular, I have yet to actually watch the damn thing. It's 15 minutes long.
Yes.
This bit.
Yes.
But it's Happy Valley.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we talked about that about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Okay, yeah.
It's hilarious. I highly recommend watching, especially with the king singing his own songs. The king he writes his own songs and he sings them, and they're like it's just noise is all it is. But he wants to play his music, and everybody, like all of his family, the queen and the prince, and nobody takes him seriously. But he's playing it to the court. And the court is singing along with him. They know every single sound.
Brutal. Became a thing, right?
So on that note, loosely related anyways, has anybody seen Ant-Man and Wasp?
Yeah.
I have not. I am going to see it not this weekend, but I think the following weekend.
Because I'm curious, it's got the potential to be quite funny.
Come on, camera, catch up. I enjoyed the first one. I was a bit surprised that they made it, to be honest. But again, it was not bad. It was not bad at all. It was well done. Michael Douglas, out of nowhere, gave a performance that I was not expecting of all the actors to play that role. That would not be my choice, because I would never actually go, oh yeah, I wonder if Michael can play this. Do you think he's okay in it? I don't know. Do you think he'd be cool?
Michael Douglas plays who?
He plays one of the leads in the film. The character whose name escapes me at the moment, who created the technology to create Ant-Man. And but I gather this film is actually quite good. It's being well rated as far as I've read so far. But hey, you know, why the hell not? I mean, of all the films, it deserves a sequel. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I am a fan of the whole Marvel thing. I went to last weekend or the weekend before. I went to a garage sale where somebody was selling all of their DC related memorabilia because they just decided that if DC can't make a good film, that they're just going to sell all their crap and keep all their Marvel stuff, which I thought was kind of amusing.
Traitors.
I know there of all the people on this planet, there's one man who is so hardcore with DC / Batman, and his name is Dave. Hey, Dave, how many Batman comics have you got?
Oh, I don't know. It's not that many. I've only got 4 or 5 boxes. And
I want to tell you something.
Small portion of that is the Batman.
Something I learned last week. Somebody who lives in this building. I asked them, we were talking about comics, and I said, "Oh, well, you collect?" He's like, "Yeah, I totally do." I'm like, "Oh, cool. Well, how many have you got?" And he goes, 130,000. I think I just went over that recently. And I said, but he said it being so casual about it. And I'm like, sorry, can you go back to that number? He goes, well, I might have say 10, 15% are probably doubles. But the big anyway, the reason we were talking about is he was very pleased that he had actually picked up a new comic. And I said, "Oh, what comic did you get?" And he said, "Well, there was a comic that was released basically sometime in the late 80s, early 90s. Now, I don't know this at all for certain, but somewhere in that time frame, a very rich New York Wall Street tycoon of some sort paid Marvel to create a 15-page adventure featuring some of the characters, including Superman, featuring the tycoon's kid. It was the kid's bar mitzvah or his birthday or something. So they paid a hefty sum to Marvel to create this 15-page comic, which was then the intro story to whatever the rest of the comic was, which was a release at the time. Only 200 were printed and handed out to people at the birthday party.
Oh,
he found one. He said it's close to mint, not quite, but it's close.
Yeah.
He wouldn't tell me how much he paid for it. He said he could easily turn it around and resell it for more than he paid. And I said, well, that's just insane to have something like that. That's very cool. And that's what led me down the conversation. Well, how much collecting have you got? And he said, yeah, I broke in 130,000. And
that's a lot of boxes.
He's in the process of cataloging everything again properly. But yeah, he's, of all the people I know in this world, he tops the collector for comics I've ever met.
Yeah, I've never personally met somebody that's got that chunk of comics.
Yeah, I tried to get into comic book collecting in the late 80s, but I just it's just something I didn't really get into. I still have the stuff that I bought. I have no idea if it's worth anything, but comics, I should look into that.
They hold their value okay, but they're not.
Well, they're not really.
It depends on what.
After the whole DC Death in the Family thing exploded,
yeah,
I think it lasted for somewhere around 10 years, 15 years, and then I think the market just fucking took a nosedive, and now you can pick stuff up for. I had a look the other day, and collectible shop, and we're talking, 50 cents over cover. Like, it's pathetic. So there's
I think
gems from that era, but I think the stuff that's truly collectible is still the golden age, silver age material.
Well, I think that the big problem with a lot of it is that some of the comics, and I just read this yesterday as well. Star Wars, for example, has created a collectible that's coming out. It's a signed bust of Obi-Wan. Sorry, of Luke Skywalker in the Return of the Jedi sort of getup, and they've made only 1,000 of them. So, which, gives them the benefit of scarcity, but collectors, some of them are hardcore completists, right? So, the ones that aren't just kind of give up, because if they know they can never get something for a reasonable price that they could add to their collection, they just walk away. And, and that kind of that's kind of like the same sort of deal with this comic. Although this was more of a, rich person saying, make me a comic and I'll give you a bunch of money, dance monkeys. It's just one of those things where it's okay if that kind of stuff happens, but creating stuff and only releasing a certain amount, it's not a new concept, but it is something that I think a lot of people kind of get out of the idea of actually collecting anyway. Unless they don't care about completing, unless they care more about the fact that they have something unique, but or they can actually say, it's cool, but I don't really need it.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm definitely out, and I will never get back in, because then you have to fork out $4, $5, $6 a shot. Forget about it. I mean, if you're reading 5 or 6, and that's conservative, different books, that's a ridiculous amount of monthly cash that's going out of your wallet.
It's true.
And these days they're producing omnibuses for pretty much everything, it seems. So you're further ahead waiting for 4 or 5 months. 6 months. I'm not sure how many issues they'll actually slap in. I think it's 4 to 6 anyways. And you're usually further ahead by buying that way. And no, you're not really, you're not getting first printing. You're not getting any of that stuff. But if I want to read a book, I think that's the way I would go. And hey, there's lots of good reading out there now.
I sporadically pick up stuff that interests me. Usually it's got to be something pretty different for it to catch my eye. But
same.
But there's really I've never been a collector of comics. I've been a reader of them from time to time, but not so much of a collector, I guess. There's really one exception to that, maybe, and that's I like Adam Warren's work a lot. So his stuff, I've got stuff going quite a ways back, sort of when we first started doing the Dirty Pair. But yeah, I don't know. I think I could probably count the number of comic books I've bought in the last 5 years on my fingers,
Yeah, I can easily count the number of comic books I bought in the last 5 years.
Well, you know what? The libraries actually carry the omnibuses these days, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's true.
You're not forced to buy.
That's sort of cool.
I've actually gone and gotten the odd book from the library sometimes, and I realize, oh yeah, shit, I wouldn't mind reading that. So go and get it. Save yourself heaps of cash. But that's the big thing for me, right? I got to be Mr. Cheapskate, and I can't afford. I mean, even though you're saving a little, the omnibuses are still an easy $20 a shot. So when you think about one of the few things that I can talk about is the Buffy stuff. And we're talking, I think it's Shane, you've got them too, so you might know.
Yeah,
but
I've got a whole bunch.
I believe they're about $15 a shot for those.
Roughly, yeah. It's not even. I mean, it depends on when you get them, but
for sure. But I mean, that's still, it's serious money. And there's, I believe, in the season, what was season 1, Shane? It was like 8, I think, or 9 omnibuses.
9,
I think it was 8.
I think, yeah, something like that. Oh no, well, yeah. Depends if you include the stuff pre the new comics, but
right.
But anyway.
No, I'm just thinking of season 8, for example. But anyways, it's
on
how you slice it, a lot of money.
Yeah, because there's 8, 9. There's also 10 now. So yeah.
Oh, for seasons.
Yeah. Other than that, I think we've been actually going for more than an hour now, boys. So I think on that note, we'll save any further commentary because next week is 150. That's 150.
Yeah, let's see.
Of the show. So we'll have a special beer next week. We don't know what yet because I think it's we should choose collectively.
Pick it is.
Well, I think we should next week we should choose it collectively or something like that. But anyway, basically, thank you for watching. We had several watchers today, which is awesome. But we'll see you all next week for episode 150 because we rule.
Yay!
Yeah.